You guys all coming in. I know some of you just flew in, just landed, and probably haven't had much time to rest or relax.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine.
Did you have time to visit with him yet?
Yes, we have time,
Okay.
yes.
So one of the reasons I asked everybody to come together today is that, your husband, your loved one, your father, has been through a lot over the last, 30 month or so. I think it's time to kind of get everybody up to speed about where we are, kind of talk to the family about what the next steps should be. Most importantly, what he would have wanted. I only met him awake for a little bit, for about a day, and he seemed like an outstanding, super guy. And, he seems like he has a super outstanding family that supports him, and that's what's most important to everybody here. And I think you guys probably have an idea of his personality, what he wants in life, his outlook on life. I know not everybody can go through the whole thing, so I can kind of summarize what has happened, and then kind of get everybody up to speed. And then we can answer any questions you have about his care right now. And then I can kind of tell you what the options going forward are. I know that everybody's been very involved, throughout this, and we've tried everything we can. So what happens is your loved one had esophageal perforation. So most likely from a piece of bran, but he had a rip down his esophagus, almost down the whole length of his esophagus, which is, to be honest with you, one of the longest rips I've ever seen. And that my partner's seen, because I showed it to him. The good thing was that when he first came in, he really had some discomfort because his white count wasn't high, he didn't have a pleural effusion, he didn't have anything that would push us to take him to surgery. So the reason we're a little reluctant to take people to surgery with esophageal perforation is once you do, half those patients will never walk out of the hospital. Because esophageal perforation is a bad thing, because the mediastinum gets contaminated, and then you get a bad infection around your heart, around your airways, and everything like that. So, well, the next 12 hours or so, we got another x-ray, and your husband, or your loved one's white count went up a little bit. Not so much that I was super concerned about, but definitely went up a little bit, and he developed a pleural effusion. And based on those two things, we decided to take him to the operating room to be ahead of the game and be ahead of the curve. Because you could have argued to wait a little longer, but we didn't want to. So we went in there, we took a scope, and we couldn't find any holes, to be honest with you. So what most likely happened is he had a long rip, he had a micro perforation of some sort, and then he sealed that perforation off, okay? And actually, to be honest with you, I was pretty optimistic coming out of the operating room, because usually you find a big hole, okay, and you find something wrong there, and the mediastinum is grossly contaminated. His mediastinum, meaning the middle part of his chest, was definitely contaminated with some bacteria that we found, but there wasn't a lot of pus in there. It wasn't that it was like super infected. So we put a piece of muscle down there like we always do. Usually you put the muscle over where you find the hole, because you repair the hole, but the tissue around the hole is not very good, so you put the muscle to reinforce it. But we just put the muscle down there to reinforce it because we couldn't even find a hole with it. And then we put some chest tubes to drain the area and got out of Dodge. And to be honest with you, I remember I spoke with you guys and said you'd be a little sicker initially, and then there'd be a period of recovery. And considering that, he got really sick, and much sicker than I actually thought he would be. And what got sick wasn't so much his mediastinum, his white count came back down and everything like that, but what got sick was his lungs. And he went to something called ARDS, which is Adult Respiratory Distress Syndrome, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome, or adult respiratory. It's a complicated word that means that his lungs really fail on him and become concrete. And his lungs became very hard to ventilate, meaning that he couldn't get enough oxygen to support his body through his lungs. And we're not really sure what causes it, to be honest with you. And some people will go into it, and sometimes after surgery, it's more common after people have a big insult like he did, that go into this kind of lung. No, it's basically his lungs that cause the problems. His esophagus and everything like that. I haven't scoped him, but I assume that's probably close to healing, if anything. It's his lungs that really kind of took that hit. We didn't do anything to his lungs. We didn't want to de-aspirate, and I can't explain to you why his lungs took such a big hit, but they did. And as a result, his kidneys slowly started to fail, and he required some dialysis. And there was a period in the beginning, first couple of days, first week or so, where he was really doing really poorly. And I remember we were talking every day, and we were talking about how he was getting worse and worse, and we really needed to change the trend, or else things, he was going to pass away. But then all of a sudden, one day, he decided, hey, I'm going to get a little better. So he started getting better, and slowly, we were taking little steps up the hill. So if I had to graph things, just kind of how he did, I would say he was here, got a little worse. We took him to the operating room, and he did okay for the first day. Actually, I thought about taking the breathing tube out of him, and then all of a sudden he just started going like this. And then we put a tracheostomy on him, thinking that he would get better, but didn't really help him that much. And then all of a sudden he started climbing up this hill a little bit like this. Each day was getting better, and I was calling you, and I was very pleased.
Yeah.
Every day he was on less oxygen. He actually came off the continuous dialysis. He was on a rotating bed for a little while, that he's on now. He was on continuous dialysis, that's he's on now. And he went on to intermittent dialysis, where he just didn't need it every day. His kidneys were getting a little better. His lungs were getting a little better. He was getting better, and I was very optimistic that things were going very well. But then, he had, and part of that, in order to keep his oxygen levels high enough to go to his brain and stuff like that, we had to paralyze him for a long time. Because if you paralyze somebody, then you reduce the work of the oxygen they need, because their body's not working to use their muscles and things like that. So the oxygen, you can get more oxygen levels. So we decided to wean the paralysis, and he did fine with that. And then we decided that it's been about a month, or by then it was almost a month, that we needed to wake him up. Because we really want to make sure he's been through a lot in his sleep. We want to make sure that he's there, he communicates. He's, you know, if he has no brain activity, then or he's brain dead, then there's no point to continue in my mind. So we tried to wake him up, but he didn't like that at all. He got very short of breath, his PCO2, which is normally 40, went up to about 110, which is almost incompatible with life, to be honest with you. But he was on a lot of support, so we were able to keep him alive. And then he basically went like this, and then he took a nosedive that 12 hours. And he just did very poorly. We couldn't oxygenate him. His lungs came like concrete again today. You can really feel. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. When you actually ventilate him, then his lungs are very stiff right now. So, and then he went back on the dialysis, and then he went back on continuous dialysis. He's back on the rotating bed, and he has that special ventilator in there that makes that noise, that is able to give him some oxygenation. When I talked to you guys on maybe Monday or Tuesday, things were getting really bad. And, you know, to be honest with you, almost one night, I think it was Tuesday, I wasn't on call, I almost called you because we weren't sure if he was going to make it through the night. At that time, his oxygen levels were super low, we couldn't get him back up. But he actually he's turned the corner a little bit and made very small improvements. And I think that's where we are right now. I think in the global scheme of things, I would say that we have to ask ourselves what's going to happen. What does the future predict? Okay, it's hard to say, but he's been in the hospital 30 days now plus. He's been paralyzed for about most of that time, and he's been sedated where he hasn't moved. So you imagine each of you guys laying in a bed for even 5 days. It's going to take you a long time to recover from that. They say for every day that you're in bed, it takes you about 3 or 4 days of rehab to get back to where you are. So we're right now looking at 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months of rehab after he gets better. And to get him back to where he was before he took that big downhill climb, realistically, probably is at least another month or 2. Okay. After that, you're looking at leaving the ICU, maybe going to a nursing home or something like that for an extended period of time if you make it and get his strength back. And then he will probably have some what we call neuropathy, some damage from being paralyzed for so long in terms of the way he functions and things like that. That's kind of like a best case scenario that we're looking at. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, I'm just listening to it. Yeah, he's pretty sick.
He's not been the sickest person in that unit by a long shot. We've actually, when he was going down, we've got more people involved. All my partners, my 3 partners, have looked in on him and seen if there's anything we missed or anything we could do differently. Dr. Sue, one of my personal friends, and an intensivist that I trust with my dad's life, has done some things and tried to help him out. Dr. Roz has been actively involved throughout the whole process. The ID doctors, infectious disease doctors, and the renal doctors have also been involved. We asked the pharmacist, to look over his meds. The things I'm worried about at this point is, number 1, he's on continuous dialysis. Number 2, his lungs are not working very well at all. They're very stiff, and whether or not they're going to recover, and what type of long-term damage are they going to have after they recover, if they can recover. And then he's also developing what we call a sacral DQ, which is a little breakdown of the skin around his bottom from just not. Nurses do a fantastic job moving him and rotating him, but just if you imagine if you're in one spot the whole time, the pressure sore, is a problem.
And being on those beds. Those beds are great for the lungs, but they're not good for the skin.
Yeah. And we can't really move him. Every time we've tried to move him, his oxygen saturation falls, and he just can't. Doesn't have any reserve right now. So that's kind of where we are right now. I know some of you are just flown in just now, but do you guys have any questions about anything that's happened or where we are or what his status is.